So you're essentially on the sideline for your entire rookie season, minus a few snaps against the Niners.
Yeah,
Um, but how would you say being on the sideline for, most of your rookie season and being in a quarterback room with guys like Randall Cunningham and Jeff George, shape maybe the rest of your career in the NFL?
I think um, being a player that was used to being the guy, used to um, being on the field, in that aspect was a little difficult for me, but I did have to adjust. But I also knew that I wanted to be prepared, and that's what Denny Green would always talk to me about. He's like, "Yeah, you're our first round pick, but my plan for you is to make sure when you step on the field, you are as prepared as possible." So he wanted me to take that time of my rookie year to really study the game, study Cunningham, study Jeff George, learn how they approach the game, and then add in what I do well, and hopefully be as prepared as I possibly can. So that for me it was great. Um, I didn't what I was kind of like a sponge. I wasn't a guy that was bothering Jeff and bothering Randall a lot. I didn't want to do that, but I observed them very very closely, and I watched them, and I learned a lot. I learned how to get ready, and well, I learned how they got ready. And it ultimately helped me. Definitely was a positive.
Yeah, like you mentioned them getting ready. Do you remember like some of the things that you learned from that first year, whether it be stuff they do on the field, in the meeting room, off the field that you used maybe throughout the rest of your career?
Um, I would definitely say the film study and being able to pick out different nuances of what they would look for in defenses. I think that helped me out a lot. That was a part of the game that I had never experienced from that aspect of watching guys who had been in the league, who had been successful in the league, and what they do to prepare. So if I would say film study and just how the tempo they practice with. That tempo, that practice tempo was huge. Um, I remember Randall always saying, man, if you when you work hard in practice and you put forth that effort, the game, in a sense, is a little easier. And I don't want to make it sound like something it's not, but I always felt like the harder you work in practice, the easier it could be in the game because you've done it so much and it's almost second nature. So the film study and the tempo of practice was huge watching those guys and
Yeah,
learning from.
for sure. That's awesome. So this offseason there've been some analysts or reporters or whatever who've been talking about how JJ McCarthy is essentially going to be a rookie quarterback with the Vikings next season, despite, spending the whole 2024 season with them in the meeting rooms and all that stuff. So basically, based on everything that you were able to learn and observe in your first year, you think it's fair to classify him as a rookie next season? Or should he be given maybe more of the benefit of the doubt, considering he's already been with the team and learning the offense for more than a year now?
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's definitely not a rookie in my eyes because he has that extra time. Well, the one thing I will say, he was injured. I don't know exactly when he got injured, but
After the first preseason games, like August.
oh, so yeah. So see, the difference for me is even though I wasn't playing, I was practicing every day against the
Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
defense. You know what I'm saying? So that right there, going against our first defense, and what Danny Green would do is he would alert our defense, say, "Hey, go full speed against this guy. I want and he would tell me, listen, this is your game every week. Every day at practice against our first defense, this is your game. You don't take plays off. You don't say, oh, it's just practice. For me, it was that. So for him not to be out there physically, um, I don't know. But as far as him being in the building, being able to be in the meetings, hearing all the terminology, you know, listen to the coach, listen to how the coach presents things. That I think qualifies him to not be a rookie anymore. He's been through that part of it. But as far as being on the field, it's his first time. Now, I the information I've gotten on him, and I had an opportunity to meet him a few times, and he's very sharp, and I like that about him. And I told him, he asked me a question. He asked me, you know, what do you think about my situation? I said it's kind of similar to what I went through, and he was like, man, I don't know. I said, well, listen, just know this: they brought you here for a reason. They drafted you in the first round. That's very important. They brought you here to be a player, and you're a great player. So just make sure you are as prepared as possible. And and he took that, and I told him, man, just do your thing. And I have all the confidence in the world in him, based on how he presented himself to me, and the film that I've seen on him. I think is a phenomenal player, and I know he's chomping at the bit to get out there and show a lot of the naysayers, that they're wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Kind of like you were in that, as you were preparing and the Vikings were, reportedly looking into sign Dan Marino. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you went through something, and he's been dealing with all the Aaron Rodgers rumors and stuff like that. So, but before I get into that, I know you switched offensive coordinators between your first and second seasons. Um, but can you share like how different your comfort level was on the field and in the offense in that second off season in training camp compared to your rookie year? I'm
Um,
assuming it was at least a little higher.
it was a little different. A little bit of terminology was different, but Ray Sherman was my rookie year. He was offensive coordinator, and then
Yep.
Sherman Lewis came
Yeah.
in my second year. So the Sherman, it was
Yeah.
together with both names Sherman, but
Yep.
it was still Denny's offense.
Mhm.
So the foundation of the offense was still the same from my rookie year. It was just Shane brought a couple of different things here and there. Um, so it wasn't a big transition. The base of everything was still the same. And Denny would always say, man, here, you got the keys now. And that's how I looked at it. And I was excited, and I was happy to have that opportunity. And I was gonna make sure on my end that I did what I need to do to be prepared. And we ended up, doing a good job that year, and got to the NFC Championship. And so I guess a lot of people, the naysayers, kind of backed off and in. So,
Mhm.
all McCarthy got to do is go out there and just. I told him he's already what he needs to be. He just needs to be that on a consistent basis. And once he does that, I think a lot of those people keep their mouth shut.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that NFC Championship. I think we're good on that. So
Hey man, it happened, man. It
it
happened, but
did, it did. But it was fun to watch you guys get there for sure. Like I said, I'm sure you've seen all the Aaron Rodgers rumors and chatter about him possibly signing with the Vikings or whatever. But it sounds like the team has decided to say no at this point and move forward with McCarthy as a starter. And I mentioned that you were kind of in a similar situation early in that 2000 offseason when there were reports that the Vikings might sign Dan Marino. So maybe can you share like if the team's pursuit of Marino maybe added like did it add any bit of a chip on your shoulder to go out and prove to the Vikings that they didn't need to look at any other quarterbacks?
I wouldn't say it I needed any other motivation. I think my inner drive, I just wanted to be the best player I could be. I couldn't control if they wanted to bring another person in to play. But what I could control is how prepared I was going to be, and what I was going to do to be a leader of the football team and take us to where we wanted to go. But that's how I looked at it. I couldn't control. I didn't really pay attention to a lot of the chatter. To be honest, I was never a guy that pays attention to a lot of the chatter, but you can hear some of the stuff that people say, or you be reading something and then you see somebody's opinion on something, and then you just take it for what it is. But I will say it is motivation for a competitor, and I'm pretty sure McCarthy is motivated as well. But I would say I would hope he's not concerned with, if the team wanted to bring somebody in, that's their prerogative for whatever. But I know, talking to him, with the little bit of time I spent with him, he's going to use his time wisely to get himself prepared to do what he needs to do.
Yeah, he seems pretty grounded. Doesn't seem like someone who's just like sitting on Twitter all day and like seeing what everyone's saying. Just
Right.
goes about his business. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
That is.
Um, there's and can you I mean, can you imagine if like Twitter or whatever was around back when you played and there was rumors and stuff? Yeah.
I couldn't. I definitely.
Yeah.
It's definitely a dynamic that I think I'm. It's mind boggling to think that if social media was along when I was coming through high school and college, and
Oh yeah.
it's crazy. But I'm kind of glad it wasn't.
Right?
But I think it still has its positives as
Yeah.
well. Everything has positive and negatives.
For sure. And there's also been a bunch of talk about maybe who the Vikings should bring in this year to be the backup behind McCarthy, and some believe it should be like an experienced veteran that he can learn from. And in your second year, you had Bubby Brister as your backup. So, and Brister was in the NFL for what 13 years before, including the Broncos when they won the Super Bowl 98, 99. So how much of an impact did having Brister as your backup have on maybe the success you were able to have as a first year starter?
Huge,
Yeah.
huge positive for me. Bubby was a perfect fit for me stepping in. He was like a coach on the field every game, every time out, every situation. He was able to give me, a different view about something or get me to think of something else. And he just tell me, hey man, you're doing what you need to do. Don't listen to all that other stuff. Just a little bit of support like that was huge, and I appreciated him, and he definitely. I love having Bubby, and to this day, one of my favorite people.
Yeah, it's also a great name, Bubby Brister. So I got two questions left, so we're almost at the finish line. But just like you in 2000, McCarthy's going into this an offense full of playmakers. You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. In 2000, you had Randy Moss. I think is pretty good. Chris Carter, Robert Smith. And I'm sure a lot of people remember all the throws that you made to Moss and Carter that year, but your rushing offense was actually like one of the best in the NFL that year. So can you share how the Vikings having a top rushing attack led by Robert Smith and you pitching in as well, um, just helped you succeed in your first year as a starter? Is that something the Vikings should be attempting to maybe duplicate this season with McCarthy starting?
Absolutely. It takes a lot of pressure off your quarterback anytime you can run the football. The name of the game in football, run the football, stop the run. If you can do those two things and don't turn the ball over, your chances of winning goes way up. And if they are smart, which I know they are, they're going to make sure that the running game is solid. Because once your running game is solid, it opens up everything else, in the passing game. So that's why when you got weapons outside like that, you can't give them the ball if you can't if the defensive line in their front seven can stop your running game and you don't have to get those safeties involved, you're gonna have a long day on offense. But if that safety, those safeties are gonna plug their nose in there because they know they don't want to get gas in the run game. Now you're gonna have the big plays that you want. You're gonna have the one-on-one situation because when you got guys like the receivers that we have in Minnesota right now, one-on-one, a lot of times they're open, and McCarthy is an accurate quarterback, and he's going to put the ball where it needs to be. So you got to get those safeties to start sticking their nose up in that interior line to try to stop the run. And when they do that, you're going to have those big gassy plays in the passing game. So it takes a lot of the pressure off the quarterback, and I know that they're excited to be able to do what they're going to do this year. I'm excited for them too.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trying to do that more because they added some new offensive linemen and they traded for Jordan Mason from the Niners, and he's more of like a physical style. So I think they're just trying to make it easier for McCarthy, and that's something that yeah should help him out. Lastly, do you have any advice for JJ McCarthy as he heads into the offseason to prepare for his first season as a starter for the Vikings?
The advice I would tell them is keep doing what you've been doing throughout your life to be successful. Keep that same work ethic. And like I said, I was privileged enough to meet him, and he was a very very down to earth type guy. He had his head on right in a sense, and I think that is gonna carry him. And never get too high, don't ever get too low. Whenever it's never Dina would always say, it's never as good as it seems, it's never as bad as it seems. You know, people, when you're doing good, people are gonna blow smoke and tell you how good you are. And then when it's on the other side, when you're going through a tough time, some of those people are gonna tell you, oh, how terrible you are. But don't listen to them. Just keep doing what you've been doing to get there and stay as loved as possible and enjoy every second of it.